So if you were with me 2 weeks ago, I went over the gaming fantasy series Sword Art Online. And today, I'm going to be diving into another fantasy. The one that plays to a much more dramatic and emotional tune. Join me as we explore the world of Grimgar, of Fantasy and Ash. Imagine, if you will, that you suddenly find yourself awakening into an extremely unfamiliar environment, with no recollection of how or why you're there to begin with. Could you adapt to the new situation? How quickly could you do it? And could you do what is necessary to survive in this new setting that you've been placed in? That's pretty much the story that is told with Grimgar, as our characters find themselves thrust into a world where they must now work together as a team and fight for survival. Now, one could say from a viewpoint that the plot that is focused around Grimgar is extremely similar to that of Sword Art Online. And yes, I agree, from one viewpoint it is. Our characters are pretty much placed into a game-like setting where they must fight to survive. However, unlike SEO where we're given an explanation as to why and how our characters are placed there, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash does not. And I'm going to break into this more a little bit later. Now, when it comes to our characters, we don't really get to know much about them, and what I mean by this is that the story focuses mainly on their current situation rather than getting us acquainted with who they are. For example, we know that they were somehow brought into this world. We also know based off their first appearances that they're from current times, but that's about it. From that point on, the story focuses purely on their lives from inside the world of Grimgar. However, even though we don't get to know much about their past, it does allow us time to get invested and emotionally attached to them. The writing does an excellent job making sure that the audience can connect and feel the emotions that our characters go through. And as the story continues, we get to see a lot of growth from all of them. But if you ask me, the best character development and growth comes from Haruhiro and Mary. Now, my personal favorite character out of the series has to be Yume, with her very cheerful personality and loving nature. And plus, I'm not sure what it is, but there's something about the Osakan dialect that I just find outright sexy. Now, Ranta, on the other hand, is by far the most obnoxious, arrogant, and crude character that I've ever came across. It's fair to say that I despised his character when first going into the series. However, his personality does change for the better toward the end. One of the major disappointments for me throughout this series is how we didn't get to know anything about our main characters before the world of Grimgar. Nonetheless, how or even why they're there to begin with. The story just assumes that we should know this information. Now, there are some small moments throughout the series where our characters speak referencing to things that could only have been a part of their past, but then it's poorly covered up by them getting amnesia the next second and wondering what the hell they were even talking about to begin with. I mean, if you're going to have them have amnesia and then slowly and gradually have them start to remember what their lives used to be like throughout the rest of the series, little by little, I'd have no problem with that. That would have been fine. But don't have them start to remember or even mention anything from it if you're going to have them forget the next second. It's not only extremely confusing, but it makes it seem like the writing got sloppy in that area, at least in my opinion. Now, my theory on how they got to Grimgar is that they were reincarnated. Perhaps they were all friends on a trip and got into an accident, which then led to them being reincarnated into the world of Grimgar with amnesia. This is all possible, but we never know because it's not gone into in the story. It's never explained. But even with these two flaws, there is still a lot of greatness to this series. One of the aspects that I truly loved is how the story took the time to not only make the viewer understand the weight that comes with losing someone, but the pressure and fear that comes with having to kill for your own survival. And one of the best instances of this is in episode 2 when they engage in their second goblin hunt.
ゴブリンも必死なんだ。殺されたくない。殺されてたまるか。やられる前にやってやる。もちろん言葉はわからないけど、そう言ってるのが 俺にも分かった。
As you know, I always say that music is crucial for creating a powerful scene, and when it comes to the tracks that were used in Grimgar, the series excels at that. The music in the series is some of the most beautiful I've heard, and the tracks that were used not only did a magnificent job of enhancing the investment, but also making the viewers feel each emotion that the scenes were trying to relay, especially when it came to some of the more dramatic ones. Now, the art in the series is absolutely wonderful. I loved the color palettes that were used for the scenery, as well as for our characters. It had a lot of calm and bright colors that really blended well and made each scene pleasing to look at. And as far as the animation goes, I have to say that A1 Pictures really did a stupendous job with it, especially when it came to showing the battle mechanics that are used throughout the series. They had a more realistic feel and look to them that I really enjoyed watching and appreciated from a gaming perspective. Which is odd because I'm not sure if I can classify this series as a gaming fantasy or not. But that's beside the point. All around, Grimgar Fantasy and Ash is a great watch. It's a beautiful story that deals with adaptation, teamwork, personal growth, and above all, overcoming losses and moving forward. I highly recommend it to anyone that is looking for a fantasy series with a more realistic approach to it. Now, if you've already seen Grimgar and are looking for something similar but a lot more gaming related, I highly recommend checking out my personal favorite, Log Horizon. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's review, and until next time, I'm Keiva Takadiiri. Catch you in the next video.